Welcome back to the GSL Code A. We're now going on to the winners match to decide who is going to be the first to get out of Group C. I almost said number C. Whoa, that was close. Whoa. Group letter C. Byung against DRG is going to be the matchup. I can't say I'm too shocked seeing these two guys here in our third best of three.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely the two clear favorites in the group. And I have to say, though, Impact gave Byung a run for his money. It was not an easy first series. I feel like DRG is on a completely different level, though, and he's also really in shape right now. The matches we've seen him do in Pro League, I mean, MVP actually went really, really far this season, rather this round of Pro League, which shocked a lot of people considering their round one performance.
Yeah.
I feel like I give DRG a slight edge. Even though Byung did better last season of Code S, DRG is, I think, in better shape right now on this matchup. Plus, Ultrazeme is the first map, which kind of gives DRG that big map to work with going into Game 1.
That's true, too. And it looks like that game is just now loaded up. We're moving along very quickly here today. Byung, one of 3 Terrans left from the last GSL Code S against DRG, a champion of Code S. Who will win? We're going to find out soon here in Code A. Down here in the bottom right, playing brilliantly against Impact, he is
Byung.
And the final boss to the top left in teal, he is
Dongdaegu.
playing a pretty simple series against Tastar, just playing that solid defense. It's the way to play against old Tassie.
old Tassie.
That's what I call Tassadar in Heroes, man. Like, it's just easier to type it, and like you try to kill Tassie, that's not gonna happen. He's got shields and so many escapes and a slow. Like,
oh man, Tassadar in Heroes of the Storm is just. I am assuming they're gonna have to like either buff everybody else or nerf him, because the function of him as a character is he just does not die.
I was playing with my friends last night, and we talked about this. He's like, I don't know, this ulti's OP. He's like, but this other ulti's OP. I'm like, I love that, like, in Heroes, almost every ulti just seems like so OP, where it's like, that's a really fun mechanic where everything is strong and exciting.
I'm actually really liking Heroes of the Storm a lot. I think it's got this huge potential. I think what Blizzard really did that was smart with Heroes of the Storm was they took the concept of a MOBA and finally did what nobody else was doing, because everybody else was basically just rehashing
Dota.
What Dota 1 was. And Dota 1 was actually a modification of... You remember what the StarCraft 1 mod was?
It was called...
It was something like...
Oh, God, yeah.
Now it's escaping me.
Oh, it's really old.
Now that we're on TV, I can't think of the name. But I mean,
someone will tweet it at us. But
yeah, I mean, it's actually an old model of a game they just kept remaking. When finally somebody just realized, wait a minute, we could just make different maps with a 5-on-5.
Yeah, it's been a rehashed model for like the longest time. I mean, even if you look at like a game like Nexus Wars and StarCraft 2, it's based off of the same kind of principle of just like units walking to each other across the map. Obviously not with heroes in that case, but it's a really common theme, and I like what Blizz Heroes is doing, or Heroes of the Storm, I should correct myself. It's just very objective based and very simple, you know.
Well, here's what's also nice about it. First of all, I was always a little bit disappointed that a lot of other MOBAs didn't have lots of maps.
Yeah.
Because I think this is where, you know, StarCraft Brood War especially, and StarCraft 2, I would say to a lesser degree, there's a variety of maps.
Yeah.
And which means there's a variety of play styles. You know, what's nice is with all these different map objectives, now we can keep having new maps come out in Heroes of the Storm.
Exactly.
And see how different heroes function there.
There's also a map editor, right? So you can make your own maps, and those could maybe one day be on the ladder or in tournaments. So it's not like, you know, where there's only one competitive map for the MOBA, like in League of Legends or Dota 2. So that's just a different variation.
Yeah, it makes it very exciting.
Now, in this game, we actually have DRG doing something pretty swanky here. I think swanky's like the only word to describe it, because basically... Oh, can he actually kill this? Because if he kills this, and he doesn't see the gas...
I don't believe he saw the gas.
And now he probably thinks it's just a normal 3-base, but it's actually 2-base with gas, and that's a very uncommon build to do on this map, because you don't need to take gas to be safe, so it looks to be intending to be aggressive early on with speed. I mean, I'm like almost 100% sure he didn't see the gas, but we didn't get any clarification there. I'm like,
No,
pretty
I
confident.
don't think he saw the gas at all. He's got link speed coming out here. This is to control the Terran from leaving his base. To do any more scouting with that SCV, for instance. So far, we have the factory. The starport will probably just be connected to that. I don't think he's going to go for a double factory here.
I don't think so, and I don't even think he's going to go Banshees at all, right? I mean, it's just the rush distance on this map. These spawns, I mean, he did it last time, but it was a very different game, very different opening he chose. Whereas this time he goes double CC before factory, so the timing is just so slow. DRG is either just playing this super careful or he's got some master plan behind this because he has link speed, but like, what is he really accomplishing with that right now? He comes up and sees there's no third base, and then there's nothing else he can actually do with that metabolic boost.
He did get that link speed, you're right, but yeah, I got to kind of echo what you're saying here. Well, he's not doing a ton there beyond just controlling the map and saying, are there any scouting SCVs out here? He did go for the third base. It was a bit late, and now he's getting his 2 gases, but was that worth it? He could have just as well gotten that third hatchery up, gotten extra queens out early, and focused on macroing. Now he is getting, I want to see what is it? He's got the 2 gases there at his expansion and the third up here, so we're going to see layer tech coming up here shortly.
Byung is meching with double fact and a fast siege tank.
And that's quite interesting because this is cross spots on a massive map. Normally, the way to beat a mech, a player who's doing solid mech, by the way, I mean a person who's doing par mech, they just push out at the wrong time and you kill it anyways and go, haha, that's why you don't mech. But on a map like this, when the mech army pushes out, the mech army is the least nimble of all the armies in the game.
Yeah.
A Terran all-mechanical army.
You can't even call it nimble. I mean, it's like...
No, it's essentially sluggish. So
there's a lack of nimbleness.
So, as they push out, you have a lot of options. You can counterattack, you can drop, you can abuse Nidus Worms, and from there, if you wipe out the Terran's base and they don't get back there in time, or if they decide to attack into you, it's usually fairly easy to dismantle him. So I'm really interested in seeing how exactly does Byung play. Maybe he won't go for traditional mech, very tank heavy. Maybe he'll go for the Hellion Thor, the Karn build, moving out now, and do a good amount of damage with that. We're going to have to wait and see here because I feel like with standard mech play, there's going to be some degree of danger fundamentally for how this map is structured.
Usually a meching player will go Hellions first into Banshees and try to at least put some pressure on early. The way Byung has decided to do this is super passive and defensive. He's rushed out siege tanks, which gives him a lot of extra AoE, and it makes his natural pretty protected, but oh my god, this is the perfect storm of terrible for him here. These links getting in there. I mean, they're going to kill a siege tank and scout everything.
And you know what you got to say when you see those 2 siege tanks up there? It's a bit suspicious. So
yeah, factory or no, there's no reason to believe DRG was going to try to do like a big roach attack. Why would he have those siege tanks?
Exactly. So now DRG has all the necessary tools at his disposal, when it comes to knowledge, I should say, to build up a counter to this. And the problem for Byung, and the fundamental problem if you're going for mech, is that you don't have mobility early. There's no quick counter attack. There's no snap decision you can make that's going to allow you to punish them. So he just runs in here again with the Overseer to see if there's any additional information, and he gets that confirmation. More factories coming. Thor's coming out now quite early on. Let's see if he pairs this with Hellions. He does have a Banshee coming here as well. Byung might be in a lot of trouble in this game.
Yeah, his whole build has been red. I feel like what this game might come down to is mostly how comfortable is DRG versus mech. And I've already seen him handle, a player like Flash decently on Sejong. I've seen him handle some really solid mech play in Pro League. So already scouting this early on this big map, I give him an edge here, but Byung doesn't seem to, the way he's played this doesn't seem like he's got anything to hide. It's like one of those builds where he's just saying, all right, I'm so good at mech that whether you scout it or not, it's going to be a challenge for you to beat me on this map. He's adding a bunch of orbitals. Like, he's super late game focused right now. Going to have a ton of extra mules to drop. He's going into a composition where he commits so heavily to Thors early on. I'm glad that you mentioned that earlier. He's also getting Banshees, and that's not to go and harass most, like it's just to build this Banshee count where you can use that to snipe hatcheries, to fight roach armies that get caught out in the middle of the map. Because if you send a roach army all the way across the map, then when it's on its way home, Banshees can just kind of hover on top of that and kill it if there's no mutas nearby. Is that a second Spire? It is. He's actually going double Spire here. Well,
this is a smart move because if you get a big enough Terran or Zerg air army, it's so easy to punish the mech. Mutas in a massive amount if the Terran leaves his base, they just fly in there into the main.
Yeah.
And then in the meanwhile, they've taken out everything. Then they just have to deal with those few Thors, the magic box over the Thors. And by the way, take a look at the creep being spread out here. I mean, he is pushing this creep so hard. I think DRG is primed to win this game.
I think
but
so.
It's going to really come down to how this first push comes out here from Byung and whether or not DRG is equipped to handle it.
There's Sir Barristan Selmy again, floating across the map. I like that DRG's even using...
Semley, right?
Yeah. He's even using Overlords to spread the creep with, those tumors just making it so much faster.
And, getting these swarm hosts here is a very smart move, too, because if he actually, let's say he gets back in there in the Terran's main and starts to take out orbitals and everything like that, there's nothing this mech army can do about burrowed units. And it's not like there are medevacs out. I mean, sure, he could bring SCVs. Yes, that's totally possible. But it would not be enough to take out a good number of swarm hosts that are just endlessly spilling out units that are going to do damage on a map this big.
Once he gets a 4th base, Byung that is, and gets the 7th and 8th refineries, he's going to want to start adding Ravens in, because Ravens are, most importantly, for the PDD to block the swarm host shots, the locust shots, but then, of course, later on, really important for getting vision to actually kill them, to finish them off.
By the way, Terran is about to be maxed out now, pushing out with this large army, pulling a lot of SCVs, presumably to repair, possibly to soak up damage in the front, but judging from where they are, it looks like that is indeed to repair.
Yep.
Will Zerg be ready? Zerg right now with 6 mutas, but 16 swarm hosts.
A lot of locusts going to pop out of here. That's 32 locusts per wave. And they're just going to start to do some extra damage here. Blue Flame Hellions at the front and tank a little bit. This is a really strong push, but it's going to take a long time to walk through this sea of creep tumors. It's like somebody spilled salt all over the map, but it's creep tumors. There's so many of them.
And you can see the swarm hosts are just continuing to dump locusts out. But right now the mech army, they're going to have a hard time getting close to the Terran army or the Zerg swarm hosts, that are coming up here now.
Yep. These Banshees are so key, actually, with scans. They can just go up and fight the swarm hosts with no mutas here.
That's very true. Well, I think there's 6 mutas out, but that's not enough.
They're not nearby either, I don't think. I don't know where they are actually at this point. They don't seem to be nearby. This is a actually surprisingly successful Zergling run by over there. He's forced the swarm hosts back. He's actually gained a lot of ground. He's ripped through the left side of this creep. But still, he's not quite there yet. Now, this next siege up, though, could be what he needs to actually start killing this base.
I gotta say, I'm impressed with how far Byung's actually pushed across here. If he gets all the way to the heart of the Zerg's base, this game does effectively end.
Well, there are 30 swarm hosts now, Tasteless. That's
a lot, but I mean, this is a lot of splash damage. Look how quick those swarm hosts go down. And I mean, considering that the Thors are mostly the ones that are taking damage here, the SCVs can repair that. I mean, when you look at the swarm host reload time, they can reload fairly easily. I gotta say, this is a very effective job here at Mech.
Yeah, he's actually in this timing really well. And now he's targeting on the swarm hosts with those Banshees. Where are the 5 Mutalisks? I mean, even if they try to get close, there's Thors to help out.
I think Byung might just win this, man.
I think so. This is pretty crazy.
He doesn't even have to stop going in this direction. He could just keep going right up into the main.
Well, there are the Mutalisks, but the damage has been done, clearly. And he's even got Vikings to help zone out here with these Thors. This is a well-built comp that just walks across the map designed to kill.
It's so funny because I really felt like what DRG was doing actually made a lot of sense, Yeah. It seemed like a very smart move. It's pretty laid out, right? Like,
it seems logical, right?
It seems logical. But the push here was so strong from Byung. And, he did get his siege tanks up in that siege mode. I mean, they just started to wipe out everything. And, we keep in mind with the Thors in the front, like I said, I mean, they can repair very easily. The splash damage wipes out the swarm host very quickly, more so than, when we see, for instance, Marines engaging them.
17 Mutalisks are being made right now. It's going to put up to 22 versus just 5 Thors. So it's all about magic boxing here.
The Mutas are what I actually thought was going to win the game here for the Zerg early on, but now with this push coming in here and coming in so strong, I'm getting a bit concerned.
Yeah, well, let's see. I mean, the Thors have good upgrades, but they need to be repaired, and there needs to be magic boxing on DRG's side if he hopes to win this. Great splitting here. Making Thors hit 1 Mutalisk only. That's exactly what he wants. But still, the push continues.
I think this is it, Wolf. I mean, he's got a lot more coming up here. It's all about the mutas, but I mean, he's about to get to where the spires are, correct? The spires are actually planted in the back of the main, I believe even behind the minerals. So there they are, 2 spires back there. So, I mean, unless these mutas can do it, I think we're just about to see GG. There it is, GG.
That's not how mech normally works. You normally don't, well, on this map anyways, you don't normally just get a 160 supply army and walk
what
across.
I love about that game is Byung made that look like everybody was, of course, always supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, he's like, well, I mean,
It's like, of course, guys, duh.
he just walks across the map and wins it. Like it almost looked like what is DRG supposed to do? Because like we said before, DRG's responses seem logical. He gets Swarmos out to get, some essentially free damage done to slow the army, so he gets enough gas build up to remax and Mutalis and just crush the army and then take control.
I mean, DJ's like, well, I mean, these units are free, right? And they do have range, and I mean, this is the biggest map in the game. And Young's like, no, I have siege mode. And DRG's like, well, I mean, but this is
He's
a
like, I
long
have 200 creep tumors though. Like,
200 creep tumors, and you have to go all the way across the map. He's like, it's fine. I have Thors and SCVs to repair.
yeah, the SCV repair is actually pretty critical.
The fact that he forced the Swarm host to leapfrog backwards all the way back to the main. And again, normally cross spots, you don't see a push that goes all the way into the heart of the Zerg's base because it's more efficient to take out expansions. But that was one of those exceptions because it was Swarm host play that was shut down. Zerg was going into Spire. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let me go into the main here. Where the Spires are. Guess what, Zerg? You don't have enough mutas. I have way too many SCVs to repair this. I can make enough Vikings to clean up the rest. GG. Now we're going to King Sejong Station.
DRG lost against Mech on this map against Flash in a really important ace match in Pro League in round 1. That was a long time ago, and I don't think Byung's going back again. Not on this map.
Game number 2 here. Byung, one of the last Terran hopes in last season of Codas against DRG, one of the best Zergs of all time. This is the GSL Code A.